Okay, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to our College of Public Health Admitted Student Day. We are very excited to have y'all here with us. We are going to introduce you to some important people and hopefully just have a great morning letting you know a little bit more about the college and us and everything. So first off, congratulations on being offered admission to one of our programs. We are super excited to have you potentially join our student body. And we just want to say congratulations because getting accepted into grad school is a huge accomplishment. So you should definitely be proud of yourself. And we are just excited to get to know you a little bit more. Today, this just goes over a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. We're only going to keep you in presentation mode for about an hour. And then for the last 30 minutes of this, we will be having breakout rooms open. So you're going to get to hear a little bit more about the onboarding process now that you've been admitted. And then you'll hear from our Assistant Dean of Academic Affairs, Dr. Nicole Valdivia, and then also from Brenda, who is our Director of Career Services. And we are just excited to get into it. So you may have met me or Eric in one of our counseling sessions or at one of our recruitment events that we've had. We are really excited to see y'all at this point in the process with your offer of admission, and we hope that you choose to accept your decision or accept your offer if you haven't already. And if you have any questions about how to do that, we can definitely help you out with that in the breakout room. So that kind of leads me to my next point of accepting if you haven't already. There is an email that we sent you that has the link to the student portal where you can log in to view your decision letter, download it if you would like, and then also let us know what your decision is. And then after that, you'll be receiving your NUID, which will be with you throughout your entire UNMC career, and even if you decide to go to any of our other schools as well. So that is going to be super important for logging in to Canvas, logging in to any sort of UNMC software that we have. And then additionally, if you haven't already completed the scholarship application, that should be available for you in My Records. We definitely encourage everyone to fill that out. And it's just important that you complete it to the best of your ability because that will help the scholarship committee whenever they are conducting their reviews for who they deem eligible for certain scholarships. And then if you're FAFSA eligible, please add UNMC school code to your FAFSA application. That will ensure that the estimated cost of attendance gets processed. That way financial aid on UNMC site can start putting that together for you. And then Eric will give you a little bit more information about this, but you also need to set up your degree plan if you haven't already. So that's going to be really important. This can change as you go through the program, but just to give you an overview of what the next 2 to 4, however many it takes you years to complete the program, what that will look like for you progression-wise. And then we're also excited to have one of our student ambassadors here with us today. We have Jana Green on the call. She'll be talking to you in just a few moments, but I also wanted to let you know that we have Krista Manning as well. So these two have been amazing to have on our team just to talk about the student experience because as admissions, we only know so much, but hearing from current students, we feel is super helpful because they're the ones who are going to be able to let you know the ins and outs of what it actually looks like and is as a current COF student. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Jana so she can chat with you for a little bit.
Hi, my name is Jana Green. I am finishing up my first year of my Master's in Public Health, and my concentration is administration and policy. I'm also doing a dual degree through UNO, so I'm getting my MBA there. So that's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of different things. I graduated college. I studied biomedical science and psychology because I thought I wanted to do like medical school or PA school or something. And then during my gap year, I kind of realized, okay, I like healthcare and medicine, but maybe on like a different side of it. So that's been really fun and going through all these online grad school. And I mean, I've never done online classes before and now we're working. So it's been a lot of adjusting, but I'm sure there are a lot of people that can relate. So I think that's been kind of fun to talk to like potential students and students about is like how am I balancing this? Like, okay, I just worked 8 hours. I have a 12-page paper due, or like I've got these quizzes, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's always fun to bounce ideas off of other people too, because I'm sure I'm not doing everything in the best and most efficient way possible. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about me. But I think now it's on to Eric.
All right. Thank you very much, Jana. Welcome everybody. As Kimmy already said, we're super excited to have you guys here and give you some information, kind of next steps and some key folks that you're going to meet along the way. As Kimmy mentioned, one of your next steps, if you haven't already done so, is to kind of set up your degree plan. So one of the first emails that you received after you received your admission offer would have been a welcome email from us, who had in that email had the direct contact information for your academic advisor, Janice Murray, who you see here on the screen. So Janice is gonna meet with you, help you set up that degree plan. Also, if you're looking to possibly transfer credits in from previous coursework, she can talk you through that on how to officially request that, and help you in all those aspects and get you ready to register for that first semester and get started towards your program. Some other folks that you are going to work with throughout the way. One thing I will also mention: everybody that I'm going to kind of be talking about and kind of giving you a heads up about and introducing you to. One common theme that you will find from admissions, from student affairs, your academic advisor, basically all the folks that I'm going to be introducing you to, we have one common focus, and it's your success. That's why we are here. Let's be honest, if we don't take care of students, we don't have a school, and we all love what we do. So therefore, you are our focus. So some folks that you're going to meet all three of these folks in orientation in August. But Jessica Sharon is our Assistant Dean of Student Affairs, Hillary Peshek, our Assistant Director of Student Affairs, and Samantha Dunn, Student Success Coordinator. And as far as Assistant Dean of Student Affairs, Jessica basically oversees admissions, student success, anything having to do with student affairs. So one of the first that you will receive communications from once you accept your offer is Hillary. She's going to be sending you important information about orientation, registration for class reminders, requesting how to request transfer credit reviews, things of that nature. And then Samantha Dunn, as a student success coordinator, basically her position is pretty much focused on exactly what it says: student success. So basically, you get into a class, you may be struggling, need some assistance with getting set up with educational assistance. Samantha will be your point of contact to help get that set up. Of course, your instructor is going to be very helpful. There are a lot of things in place to help you succeed. But definitely take advantage of reaching out to Samantha for any additional help. And she also has periodic different webinars on things like time management skills, things of that nature. Things that we've seen that some students just need some extra assistance in. So she basically helps coordinate all those efforts. And then we have 5 departments within the college: so biostatistics, epidemiology, health services, environmental, and then health promotion. So basically, just wanted to be able to help you put the face with the name of the department that you're in and who the department chairs are. So for biostatistics, Dr. Ying Yang, Dr. Ed Peters in epidemiology, Dr. Brandon Grimm over Health Services, Dr. John Lowe in Environmental, and Dr. Chad Abrish in Health Promotion. For some of you, if Dr. Lowe face seems a little familiar right now, you may have seen him doing some national interviews in regards to our quarantine and biocontamination unit, as we've recently welcomed our hantavirus guests on campus in our quarantine and biocontamination units. And then our program directors over the MPH and MHA programs. So we have Laura Vincent is our MPH director of our MPH program, Dr. Trina White over our MHA program, and Julia Quigley is our applied practice manager. For those in the MPH program, you'll be working very closely with Laura and Julia as you prepare for your applied practice experience. With MHA program, you'll be working with Trina as you get ready for your integrated learning experience. And you'll have contact with all these folks throughout the way. One thing that I always like to point out about these three also is all three are also our alumni. So Julia and Laura are graduates of our MPH program. Trina is a graduate of our DRPH program. So they're a valuable source of information because not only are they experts on the program side, but they completely understand the student experience because they have been exactly where you are right now. I always like to point out Trina because Trina is near and dear to my heart because she is actually one of the first people that I ever talked to about recruiting for a program at UNMC once I started working here. So, but all basically like everybody else, all very student focused because they were students. So they completely understand basically that apprehension as you get ready to start the program. And they're there for anything that you need as well. And then of course we have Dr. Nicole Colm Valdivia and Brenda Nickel, so Assistant Dean of Academic Affairs and Director of Career and Professional Development, who have joined us today. So I will turn things over to Nicole so she can tell you a little bit about the academic side.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eric. I also think the fact that so many of our students want to come back and work for us is a testament to the kind of experience that they have with us. So I think that that's really cool. Okay, let me share here. Okay, and you're seeing my presenter, or you're seeing my full screen mode. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. I am really glad you're here. There's been a lot going on campus here these last couple of weeks, and so I truly believe in this kind of crisis, such as hantavirus. There's nowhere better to be than University of Nebraska Medical Center. So I'm glad you're here. I'm going to talk for just a little bit about our programs, but I'm going to talk more about the kind of experience that you'll get and some of the things that you might not find on our website or on social media. So I'm really going to focus more on that. Deciding to go to graduate school is a really big decision. And so it's really important to think of it as not just shopping for graduate school, but imagining yourself as a future leader. And so that leads me to a story where about 3 or so years ago, in Omaha, there was a stray kitten that tested positive for rabies. And this was a strain that was really prevalent in raccoons on the East Coast. So it was not endemic to Omaha or to the Midwest. And this was particularly concerning because raccoons are really common in Nebraska. When I'm walking my dogs, I see them almost every night. And so to have potentially a signal of rabies strain in our raccoons that's not endemic sets off a public health response. So our local health department staff immediately got into action. And the cool thing is, it was staff who either graduated from our MPH program and or were in our Doctor of Public Health program. That was who was leading this response. And for these kinds of situations, the interprofessional collaboration includes, the state health department, the CDC, the USDA, Nebraska Game and Parks, the Humane Society, the Department of wildlife rehab facilities, veterinarians, wildlife biologists, epidemiologists, animal control officers, laboratorians, physicians. It's a huge response. It is a big deal. Rabies, once symptoms start in a human, if a human was exposed, is 100% fatal. So there's no time to waste. You have to know what you're doing and you have to be able to lead. It ended up that about 10 people needed post-exposure prophylaxis who were potentially exposed, so to the kitten specifically. And over the courses of several months, they ended up vaccinating like 750 raccoons. It's actually an oral bait that they put out. And then of any animals that were found deceased, like raccoons, they tested them like over 500 for rabies. All ended up being negative. So that was a good thing. It was good and it was perplexing because we never were able to actually figure out where the kitten came from that it was exposed to rabies because it didn't seem to be in Omaha. So that was good. But the story leads me to the fact that it's really reiterating the importance of training. You need to know that you are trained to ensure that you can lead in a moment of crisis. And this was an example of that. So super quickly, I am sharing who am I? And I share that because it really impacts my lens on how I oversee curriculum updates and our academic programs. My background is public health practice. And so my master's is in public health, my PhD is in health education. And my experiences, so I've worked in nonprofit organizations. I worked for Safe Kids, which is an organization that does pediatric injury prevention. I worked in a high school doing program evaluation. I worked for the state health department in Iowa, so I was there for about 8 years overseeing surveillance and epidemiology for HIV, Hep C, STIs. And so all the skills that come with that, all the experiences that I have really do impact us ensuring that our curriculum are preparing students for the scenario I just suggested, making sure, or just discussed, making sure they know how to lead, understanding what is in the program. So it's not just hypothetical, it's not just theoretical. We really are training our students to understand. I'm also, though, I'm a mother, I'm a dog mom as well, and so I also understand all of the things that students are going through and how much you're trying to balance, because it is a lot. And so I think that I share this just so you understand what I bring in my lens. So our philosophy on education is that we are developing professionals. When we develop curriculum, we are focused on ensuring that students are prepared for their careers in public health. Our program directors have the degrees and experience relevant to the program they lead. Every student has an academic advisor, Janice Murray. Eric mentioned her, but they also have a faculty mentor from the department. And so that means that they have access to 2 people who can help them in different ways, make sure that they have a good experience in the program and are able to get through in a timely manner, right? Because that's important too. We also have so many faculty with really cool practice and research experiences, and I'll talk about those in a minute too. And we have faculty and staff who serve on national and global boards. Even our dean serves on the World Health Organization's polio eradication group. He serves on the Global Outbreak and Response Network. So we're not just teaching public health, we're actually doing public health. And I think that is part of what sets UNMC aside from other colleges. As a student, you also will get to learn from students across the globe because we have students who are all over the world. And so we have students right now, so we just had a big class graduate, so the numbers are off a little bit, but around 45 states in the United States and students from around 30 countries, roughly, something like that. Of course, we'll have a new class coming in this fall, but I think it's important to know that it's a very heterogeneous group of students with incredibly diverse experiences. I teach almost every semester, and I learn something from my students every semester. We're looking for feedback all the time from our students. We talk to our alumni, we talk to our practice partners, and this quote was something we had our Nebraska Public Health Conference here just a month or 2 ago, and I was talking with one of our current students, and what she told me is that this was a direct quote, "What I'm learning in my courses is directly applicable to my work." And to me, that really shows that we're teaching the right things. Okay, so I'll talk really briefly about our departments. And so Department of Biostatistics, one of the cool things coming out of that department, Dr. Daisy Dye is actually our Dean of Research as well, but she's a faculty member in the Department of Biostatistics. And she did a cool study recently on adolescents and vaping. And what she was trying to determine was that, does vaping or e-cigarette use affect cognitive domains? And they found that it was associated with poorer performance in some specific cognitive domains. And so these findings really raise concerns about some of the neurocognitive implications of e-cigarette use. And so that's just a cool example of things that we're doing that are really applicable. Within our Department of Biostatistics, we're teaching a lot of different statistical packages. That is important for practitioners because if you're going to be in a role where you're analyzing data, it's important to know more than one statistical package. And so we teach SAS, SPSS, although I'll be honest, we're phasing out SPSS because we're not seeing it used in public health very much. More on the health science side. We also teach R, and so a lot of global organizations are using R, and then Python as well for coding. So our environmental, occupational, and agricultural health department, they have a really cool project going on right now. We have a center called the Central States Center for Agricultural Health and Safety. And they have a project called Telling the Story. And they're using injury prevention messages that highlight personal stories and firsthand experiences. And so we're using farmers and ag workers and families and community members to tell stories of how they were impacted by injuries or fatalities or close calls. They also do really cool things around grain handling, around bison herd management, tractor and equipment safety trainings. And we have a lot of students involved in this work. I'll highlight a couple courses from these next few departments as well. So within this department, the class in Fundamentals of Industrial Hygiene, students actually get their OSHA General Industry Safety Card. That looks great on your CV or resume. And one of the cool things in this class is they get to conduct an industrial site inspection and actually write up a safety report. So an activity that is something you would do if you were working in a job like this. We have an agricultural health and safety course in which students do a farm tour. There is an opportunity for students to take that online. The farm tour then is done via Zoom. So I mentioned that too. Our epidemiology course. So a couple of years ago, we had a big tornado outbreak in Nebraska and Iowa. There were 23 tornadoes, and it really was kind of west and north of Omaha. And as a response to this event, so fortunately, there were no fatalities and only really minor injuries. And so if you're not familiar with the Midwest, in Nebraska, most people have basements. And so that makes a big difference. But anyway, so with this event, with this tornado outbreak, within our college, we worked with the Douglas County Health Department. That's the county that Omaha sits in, and the Three Rivers Health Department, just west, and then the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. And we went door to door to conduct surveys. We did an assessment to help us understand how Nebraskans were impacted by the tornadoes. Because if you collect information quickly after an event, we can document how those early warning systems and the preparedness activities that we had done worked. And we can understand where can we improve. We can understand what are some of the physical and mental health needs that communities are experiencing. So we can use that information to make sure we're better prepared next time, both before it happens and after with our response. So we had a couple faculty from Epi and Environmental Health who pulled together a whole bunch of students and faculty and staffs to do this work of going door to door. It was a really interesting project. I'll also highlight a couple courses here, our emergency preparedness courses. So within those courses, students complete the FEMA incident command courses. Those also are incredibly interesting and valuable if you plan on working in this area of emergency preparedness. Even if you don't, understanding the incident command process is really valuable. Within our epidemiology course, we have an outbreak investigation course. And within that course, students hear from lots of guest speakers who've actually done outbreak investigations. And what does that look like in the ground, on the ground? And so that class is really interesting as well. I usually guest lecture on that course around specifically HIV and hepatitis C outbreak investigations. So health promotion and maternal child health. One of the cool programs we have going on there is we have funding from HRSA, the Health Research and Service Administration Department of DHHS, and we are training our community health workers. And so our community health workers, our frontline public health workers, they have a deep understanding of the community that they're serving. And so we've developed a training for the CHWs. There's an online training and then some on-the-job training. This is being administered by faculty in our health administration department health promotion department. We've graduated dozens of CHWs, which are then job ready, like they're ready to go out and work in their particular communities. I will also mention some of the courses we have that are interesting. So health disparities course, students actually are doing work in community-based participatory research in this course. We have leadership and advocacy class where students are coming up with they're doing lots of different assessments to understand their own work style and behaviors around how they're interacting with others. We have a public health ethics course, which is a new one. I'm really excited about. The faculty who teaches it is nationally known for her expertise in public health ethics. And then we also have a global health course that includes travel opportunities. So right now it includes an opportunity to travel to Rwanda, and that is taught in the summer. And then finally, our Health Services Research Administration course. So we have some of our faculty in this course who are part of this. It's supposed to say sit, not cite. I can't believe I just realized that now. The faculty sit on our state chapter of the American College of Healthcare Executives. And one of them, Dr. Trina White, the director of our DRPH program, who Eric mentioned earlier, is the president-elect. And so having faculty who've in both, this is Brad Pfeiffer on the left here, and then Dr. Trina White, have both served as CEOs of hospital systems. And so when they're teaching these either public health or health administration courses, they are able to bring in all the experiences that they have, and that's impactful as a student. A couple of cool courses within this department include organizational theory, which I think is somewhat unique actually to being offered in a College of Public Health, but then also health administration law, which is taught by an attorney who's worked in health administration law. Okay, that is all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda Nickel, who is the Director of Career and Professional Development in our college. Thanks all.
Let me just really quickly share. Oh, sorry, I had so many windows open. And I should be able to make it through this whole presentation, but I'm trying to be off camera when I can be, because I'm in a battle for my life against these allergies. If you are not in Nebraska, this is like peak allergy time right now. And I have all of them. So if I sneeze, I will try to make it minimal. So again, like I echo everything Nicole said, we're so happy you're here. And I just want to acknowledge that you're here because obviously you've been admitted to one of our academic programs. And my job here today is to try to help make sure that the degree you're considering makes sense for the impact that you personally want to have with your career. So I'm going to try to tie some of what Nicole is just saying to how does that fit with you. I do want to let you know just a little bit about me. So I do have a public health background. I got into public health in 1999. I thought I was going to be doing teaching because like almost everybody in my family are teachers. And then an experience I had in Zimbabwe, it was 1999, like I said, which is when HIV was really starting to have some serious impacts there. And so I very, very plainly saw the power of prevention. And so that's how I like literally discovered. I had no idea public health was a field. And I was like, okay, we need to get on the prevention side of this if we're to truly have an impact. So I've been in public health ever since and worked in a variety of different levels. So everything from global to national at the CDC to at the state level, working with the Primary Care Association, where we worked with all the different federally qualified health centers in the state and locally at local health departments. So I love bringing all that experience to students here. And then my position was created in 2012. And honestly, I was at the State Primary Care Association and I did not want to leave. I loved working with health centers so much, but I saw this job open up And I had actually been communicating from time to time with the college around, like, you're doing a good job training students, but they really have no idea what's going on out on the job market. And because, like, when we would interview them for positions, they weren't interviewing great. And maybe it was just ones we interviewed, but I could tell they were not getting the preparation they needed. And so when I saw this job open up, I was like, I want this job. I know I can help students with this. So I've been here doing this ever since. And through my work in career services, I really have built kind of my own national network of public health career services folks. I've tapped into them. It's a very friendly bunch. We all work together. You would not maybe think that we would all be collaborative, but we really are collaborative. I was just on a call yesterday with folks who are working at schools of public health all over the country, because we're constantly sharing best practices and trying to think through what can we do together to help make sure that graduates of schools of public health have the support and information that they need to be successful. So that's what I bring to what I'm about to share with you. So we fully appreciate that this is a big decision for lots of reasons, and we want you to feel good about whatever decision you make. And so our goal is to make sure that you have the information that you need to make the right decision for you at this point in time. In my role, I do sometimes meet with students who are considering a degree, and I field all sorts of questions, like the ones on the screen that I'm guessing some of you might have. And while these questions might seem really straightforward, unfortunately, there's a lot of nuance to the conversation and how we answer them. So the rest of my presentation is going to dig into like what it takes to actually answer these questions. First, I do want to start with some of the basics though. And so the quick answer is that yes, our graduates are by and large employed. So every school and program of public health reports what we call first destination data. And so that's the first thing that a new graduate does within 12 months of graduating. And so these are all data for all graduates from our degree programs. On the left is for 10 years of reporting. So you can kind of see like a larger number. And on the right, I pulled just the most recent year of reporting. So this would be our reporting year of 2025, because we give them 12 months. And so you can see we have lots are employed. The second line though, I want to call your attention to the second line. So what this means is that are they in a new position within a year of graduating? And this one is a huge point of pride for us, because if you look at our student information, almost 70% of our students are working while they are in our programs. And so if you think about that, to also have such a high percentage of employed graduates reporting a new position within a year of graduating, that shows that our degrees do have high value that help folks position themselves for career advancement. And then in terms of where our graduates are ending up, there are some interesting things that we see compared to the national numbers. And so fairly consistently, we have about 2 times as many graduates in governmental public health. And again, this can be significant because if you've ever applied to governmental jobs in the US, I know not all of you are based in the US, but governmental jobs in the US can be really tough to get into. And so we have had more in governmental positions. And some of that is students bringing some experience with them in our programs. But not all of them have government experience when they come to us. The top 3 sectors overall, so like large, like not the breakdown, because obviously there's lots of types of government employers, but government, healthcare, and academic institutions. On the academic institutions, it's not all like faculty. So think about, there's a ton of master's level staff that kind of help the programs at academic institutions run. So they might be doing research coordination, they might be doing like data analyst roles. Some of them are doing kind of community outreach and education stuff. So there's a lot of roles lumped into that academic institutions. We did see a little bit of a shift in our 2025 data in the sectors. And so we have more going specifically into hospitals, pharmaceuticals, and other healthcare type entities. And while we don't have our current year data going on, I would say that this is holding true right now in terms of job market, is that we are seeing more positions in healthcare than like nonprofits, for example. And you can see some example job titles at the bottom. Okay, so how our graduates get to those jobs is not by luck. There does need to be some intention with how you engage with the program, including what you do beyond the coursework. And the good news is that this is the part of the equation that's in your control. So like you can't control the job market. You can't control the economy, but you can control what experience you are gaining. What do you know about yourself? How do you leverage things about yourself to be competitive on the job market? So this is the framework that we use to organize your process, because you do not have time to do all of the things. And so we need to be intentional about how you spend your time. So we do reflect, explore, develop. And I cover this during new student orientation of like what you can be doing as a student. So today I'm going to touch on this framework and kind of what you could do now to as you're trying to decide if this is the right degree for you. So step one, reflect. So it's not helpful for you to go out and talk to 50 people and spend hours researching online, which I'm sure some of you have done, if you don't know how the information and advice applies to you specifically. So again, because you can't do all of the things. So at some point, it's not about the external information you need. You have to understand who you are and how to use this information. Now, I'm not saying that you need like a super rigid plan. So it might not be realistic for you to have your 5-year, 10-year like plan that you do not deviate from, because things are always changing. I'm not even saying that you need to figure out the singular one thing that you want to do, but you should have some self-awareness about what is important to you. How do you like to work? What types of tasks do you like to do? So these things across the bottom, these are the things that can help you figure out in what way do you want to have an impact with your work. So we all care about people. We all care about helping others, improving things in the world, but so do a lot of other people. And so just having that like general statement doesn't help you figure out what do you actually want to do as a job. We have to think through some of the details. And I do recognize that if you've not worked full-time yet, you might not know all of the answers to all of these questions, but that's okay, because remember, step 2 is explore, and we'll figure some of that stuff out. But I do want to pause for just a moment and point out that part of why this reflection step of the process is so important is because we genuinely want to set you up for long-term success. So if you go the route of finding that singular job title of like, you heard a guest speaker and you're like, oh my gosh, that person's so amazing, I want to do exactly that. It might work out for you, but what if a lot of things change in the world or change in your life? And so if you focus on just that one singular thing that you want to do, you risk spending your entire career chasing and then feeling like you're always behind. Because the reality is that things really are always changing. And so navigating and managing your career over time requires that you be a lifelong learner of yourself and a learner of what's going on around you, how you fit into that space. So even if you do end up working in the same space for your entire career, so let's say environmental health, you will have to continue to add skills to deal with technology changes, evolution of science and evidence, or just even new roles or tasks that you take on within your work. So you want to become familiar with job categories and titles, but your understanding of yourself, the skills you have, the value you can bring should all go beyond the words of a job description or a job title. So those blue boxes at the bottom, those are the things that I would love for you to always be able to talk about, like starting now and throughout your entire career. If you need help figuring this out, one of my favorite tools for building this skill is called the Public Health IDP. And Nicole, can you put this in the chat? I have it linked somewhere else, but it's not easy to grab right now. So there's tons of great information throughout the site. And it's, Nicole, it's public health or careersinpublichealth.org. So my favorite part of the site for the step of the process you're at right now are these assessments. So you can make an account, take these assessments, and the skills and task assessments are so great because they get really specific on the types of tasks that are common in public health jobs. And so, I mean, the results might be helpful for you to maybe find things you hadn't thought about, but even just the act of taking the assessments is going to build your vocabulary of like what's possible in terms of public health jobs, and then get you thinking about what you might like and not like, because there's a Likert scale, and they only let you mark 5 things as the highest level. So if you like a lot of things, you're going to be forced to choose, which can be a good thing for you to really hone in on what is it that you actually want to spend your time doing. Okay, so step 2, it's time to explore. Again, the goal is not to figure out your one true single best path. Right now, you're just trying to confirm, does the work that you can do with this degree make sense for you? So you're going to take the information you've learned from your reflection and maybe make a shorter list of possibilities to explore. So you can do this online, you can talk with people, you can maybe do some volunteering to see what the work looks like. The idea here is to find easy ways for you to test out whether something is a good fit before you go all in. And while you're exploring and gathering this information, keep in mind that you do need to do the work of aligning what you are seeing and learning with insights that you've gleaned about yourself from the reflection process. Because one of the core truths of public health ends up being both the best and the worst thing for career development and navigation. Because once you have a public health mindset and you understand the social determinants of health and understand how all sorts of things are interconnected to our health and well-being, you will see how your public health training can translate into so many roles and sectors. So like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that whatever your interest and skill set, there likely is a place in public health for you. So that's exciting. But if you're someone who's interested in all of the things, this ends up being really overwhelming and not helpful if you're trying to make a career plan. And so this is one of the reasons why it's helpful to have someone like me to help guide you through the process, because I do have a background in public health. I know the nuance of some of like, how do you leverage what you've done or what you're interested in into different types of roles or organizations. And today I'm not doing a full breakdown of all careers in public health because I do some of that in orientation and other places. But just I've had students regularly tell me that the way that I explain things and break them down helps them make sense of how they can align themselves in the world of public health. If you want to start doing some of this initial work now before you begin our program and go through orientation and kind of seeing how your preferences align with specific potential public health careers, this is a good tool to check it out. And this one I do have in the right place. Or did you already get this, Nicole? Are you that fast? No, okay. I got this one fast. I have that one in the right spot. So this was developed by some of like public health career development folks that I know. I trust their information. So that's a good tool that kind of shows you some potential alignment between yourself and careers. Okay, so now we're on to step 3, develop. And the message here is that the reality is that your typical master's level job requires 3 years of experience. Oops, let me move the chat. Was that in your way? And the good news is that a wide variety of types of experience counts. So it doesn't have to be paid. It doesn't even have to be public health specific. We just have to be able to connect the experience that you have to the jobs that you're applying for. So gathering experience and being able to talk about your experience in ways that is relevant to employers will be key. And so we want you to explore. And the good news is that we have a lot of resources to help you do this. So my office, we have resources that align with all stages of these, but also your coursework, like Nicole mentioned. We're really intentional with making sure that your assignments are forcing you to practice skills that matter. So you might be like, I don't really want to do an infographic, but you know what? It's really good to practice communicating complicated information in different ways. So we will make you do that. We will make you do group projects, because every job you will ever have, you will work with other people. So everything that we do is by design, to set you up for success. Okay, so to summarize why this process of reflect, explore, develop is so important. I love this quote. So there's this framework called life design that comes out of the Stanford Design Lab. And this quote was in their Instagram a month ago. And I just love it, because it's like, your future self does not need another tab open. So like, how many tabs do we have open right now? I have like 50. They need you to try something small before you commit to something big. So that's the message here. We want you to go through this process to figure out if this degree is right for you. And think about this process of reflect, explore, develop as really a continuous quality improvement process that you can use not just in your program, but throughout your career. It helps you make your decisions, helps you get the right experience. It also, like, if you're doing intentional reflecting, that's actually what's going to help you in job interviews and in networking to position yourself for new opportunities. So what this looks like for students specifically. So I encourage you, don't wait until you're graduating to think about how you want to use your skills. So students who are most successful kind of do most of these things. So they're starting and continuing this exploring, reflecting early. They're open to new and unexpected paths. So while a student, maybe instead of focusing on one single topic or population, maybe try to gain as many technical skills as possible. So some of those things that Nicole pointed out of the different software systems or some of the different certifications, all of those things carry value on the job market. And as you're developing new skills, so this is kind of the number 3, be gracious with yourself. So everything you do does not have to be publishable. It doesn't have to be the gold standard version. As a student, you have the luxury of being able to try out a lot of different things. You have access to experts here, software and opportunities. So take advantage of being in that student zone to try things out. Like, it's okay to fail. You're just trying to learn what does this possibly look like? And speaking of access to experts, so the most successful graduates are tapping into people and resources around them on a regular basis. Nicole told you about some pretty amazing people that work here. I also work with students on how to tap into or engage folks that you might already know. So you all already have a lot of experience, but there's maybe ways that you could engage with folks that are near to you in new ways while you're a student. That could be really helpful. That's a common conversation that I have with students. The most competitive new grads on the job market are also finding ways to gain experience outside of coursework. And don't worry, I'm super practical. So if you are already working, if you have family obligations and you're sitting there thinking it's already going to be a stretch just to add the degree program into your life, I don't have time to do another volunteer thing, Brenda. This doesn't have to be a huge commitment. This step will look wildly different for each of you given your circumstances. It might be just about choosing better topical assignments for your homework assignments and making sure that every single one of those carries high value for your goals. For some of you, it might be going after an extra internship beyond your APEX or your MHA internship. So it will just depend on your situation. So circling back to the things you're wondering. I also have to mention a funny thing about the slide title. Just last week, I met with one of our MPH alumni, graduated a while ago, that's actually finishing their PhD right now at a different university, given where they live for family reasons. And when we hopped on Zoom, one of the first things I said was, I'm actually getting really good support from my current school, but I wanted to schedule with you because I trust you and I know you're going to give it to me straight. So I will always be honest with you, okay? So is there a job market for public health grads? This answer, and apologies, it's a little fuzzy, but it goes back to this slide. So public health skills are valuable and in demand virtually in all sectors. Sometimes it will be used in different language. Sometimes you might need to be a little flexible with what work might look like for you at any given point in time. So if you are sitting there thinking the only thing I want to do is be an epidemiologist at the local health department, but you have no flexibility in where you live geographically, we might need to think through what's a job you could do after graduation and before doing that until that job opens up, because the reality is each local health department only has so many epidemiologists, right? But there's lots of other ways you can contribute in meaningful ways, building your skill set to be competitive for that job. So that's what I mean by being willing to be flexible. And I do believe absolutely a public health degree is very valuable, and it will make a difference in what you're able to do professionally. What success looks like is something only you can figure out for you. Going back to those assessments on the IDP website, the Individual Development Plan website, I didn't mention then, but there is a values assessment that can get you started thinking about the things that you care about. So what is work to you? What's important about work to you? We aren't taught how to think about that, but it's actually a really important part of reflection. And so it's important that you're honest about the things that matter most to you, and then what that means to the job search. And what is most important to you will also evolve throughout your life. So that's, again, why we want to use this reflect, explore, develop process continually. And then our college is full of amazing people. I love Nicole's presentation, really nailed all of this. So we are 100% dedicated to public health practice. We work hard to make sure our curriculum is relevant. We also give you a lot of chances to practice your skills. Also, if you are looking at one of our online programs, I can wholeheartedly say there's no better program in the nation for online programs. Just as evidence of that, every semester we have faculty from other schools of public health that are taking an online teaching course with our person who oversees our online learning, because she truly is a national expert in how to do high quality online learning. And then just going to the current headlines of the UNMC response with hantavirus, you're probably seeing lots of the physicians on the news, but really it's also public health faculty, staff, alumni, students who are involved in all sorts of the response. So for example, for transportation from the airport. So it was our faculty and students who developed the protocols for safe transportation, like from the airport to the campus during the Ebola response back in 2014. And all of that has informed how we did transportation of the COVID patients from the cruise ship also, and now the current guests that are with us in the quarantine unit. Speaking of the quarantine unit, it was our MPH students who helped set up the quarantine rooms and think through what will guests need for a long quarantine period. So we've just got folks involved in all sorts of public health practice at all times, and we would love to have you with us. All right, that's the end of my presentation. I'll turn it back to Eric and Kimmy to get us into rooms.
Thanks, Brenda. Yeah, from here, we're going to open up 3 separate breakout rooms that I'm opening up now. There'll be a breakout room for career services if you have any questions for Brenda, a room for titled Student Ambassador if you have any questions for Jana, room for admissions if you have any questions for Kimmy or myself. And then Nicole is going to stay in the main room if you have any questions for Nicole. So let me get the breakout rooms open.
I will also, Eric, while you're doing that, I put a short module in a link to a module in the chat, and we recently developed this. It's just, what is public health? Even if you know what it is, sometimes knowing how to talk about it is important. Your family members might say, "Oh, you're studying public health. What is that?" And this can help you like understand truly how impactful public health is across the lifespan. So I put that in there just so that you can check it out. It's short, 50 minutes or so.
So breakout rooms are now open. Feel free to join whichever room you want. Hop between all the rooms, and we're